So, my dear participants, let's hope that we've got all the sound issues put to the side for now. Next up, I'd like to introduce Peter Droll, who is the Director for Prosperity at the Directorate General for Research and Innovation. Now, he's been working with the European Commission since 1991 in quite a number of capacities, particularly involved in things like EU enlargement negotiations and for innovation policy and European research area policy. So he's going to speak to us this morning about the topic of advanced manufacturing in Horizon Europe. And I'm just going to check with my technical crew here if we've got him on screen and if I can bid a good morning to Peter Droll. Might have to wait just a moment here.
Yes, Karen, I can hear you very well.
I hope you can hear me, Peter. Good morning.
Okay, so if you can hear me, that's very good, very reassuring. So, you mentioned already the good news about the EU budget. I have more good news. At 5:30 this morning, there was an agreement on the Horizon Europe program. So we can really go ahead with our ambitious plans. And my key message for this morning is it's all about impact and acceleration. And we don't have the luxury of time anymore. Now, let me see whether I can change the slide. Yes, so about impact.
If I could just interrupt, I've been asked to ask you to switch to presenter mode. Can you do that so that we can see your slides? You have to swap displays.
Okay.
Just a little technical note.
Okay, give me a second.
These are the sorts of things that we deal with all the time. Absolutely no worries.
So, taskbar. Good. So.
I'm hoping we can maybe we can just get Peter back on the screen and he can continue.
Yes, I do without
making his presentation. He's going to do it without his slides, I think. Francesco, just bring him back up on the screen is fine. There we go. So Peter, I can see you and I can hear you loud and clear. I'm very sorry to have interrupted. Obviously that's not working, but I'll just let you continue. Continue with the good news, please.
So yeah, we can start with the program. With Horizon Europe, already mentioned by Lucy. I don't have the latest budget figures yet, but it should be more than 15 billion in what we call the cluster for digital, industry and space. And that's a substantial amount of investments which are needed and in which the manufacturing industry is key. We know how strong we are in manufacturing in Europe. And we need to do more. We have also earlier this morning an agreement on the at least 55% reduction targets compared to 1990 for greenhouse gas emissions. That is a major acceleration and requires substantial breakthroughs in technologies and substantial investments. And what the focus of our investments in the coming 4 years will be on 3 strategic orientations. And that is making Europe the first digitally led, circular, climate neutral and sustainable economy. This requires global leadership, and we have taken the leadership here. And European companies are top in holding green patents. The second is promoting open strategic autonomy by leading the development of key digital and enabling and emerging technologies. So the new stuff which is coming. And the third key orientation for this cluster is creating a more resilient, inclusive, and also democratic European society. Let's not forget that the strong industrial base is a very good protection against rising nationalism. We see that the regions which are left behind are easily victim to populist and nationalist policies. So this is what is coming up in cluster 4, and Lucy mentioned the Industry 4.0, digital twins, zero defect, anticipative maintenance. All this we will build on what we have already achieved in previous investments with our strong partnership, Factors of the Future, which will continue with Made in Europe, which is already a program in itself, because it's about increasing this strategic autonomy we are seeking to reduce our dependencies, which requires more resilient manufacturing. But I think it's important for us to go one step further. We need to go from Industry 4.0 to Industry 5.0. We will soon publish a concept paper on this. It's basically, in a nutshell, it is about recognizing the power of industry, of our companies, to lead globally the transition to the digital economy and to the sustainable circular economy, to climate neutrality. And that is not possible if we don't put the worker, the intelligence of the worker, the skills of the worker in the center of this transition. And something which will come up as a future orientation in our investments in all these priorities under cluster 4. What is very important to be aware of is that we will also need to be more resilient, more flexible. And that's a key issue where we have already invested in the past in modular manufacturing. In my opinion, this trend will be stronger than before. The recovery and resilience facility mentioned by Lucy in her speech is all about that, building back better, being more resilient. And there we count on the manufacturing industry to be leading in the first place in helping us to be more resilient, and if new shocks will come after this pandemic, that we will be better prepared. Actually, manufacturing has played a hugely important role in helping us facing this pandemic, and we launched an emergency call earlier this year with some manufacturing topics, and I'm very proud of European industry how fast and effectively we answered these challenges. So the second element I wanted to underline is really about this acceleration. We no longer have the luxury of the time, and that is something which really a characteristic of our investment portfolios and programs. And here I would ask you not only to look at the cluster digital industry and space, but also take all the opportunities from within Horizon Europe, the European Research Council, but also the European Innovation Council, and look at also the follow-up funding. Lucy mentioned the Digital Europe program for green investments. There are completely new opportunities under the European Innovation Fund in particular, so that we have the maximum of impact and fast. So we are here at the EIT's Manufacturing Summit, and I'm very happy about the existence and our cooperation with the knowledge and innovation community on manufacturing. In order to meet this challenge of acceleration and more impact, we need to work even better together. I can imagine, we have many different tools. It could be joint calls, it could be joint workshops, it could be joint platforms. Being together in the different fora. And I would like to build on the very good start we had together and to strengthen this cooperation with our friends and colleagues in the European Institute of Innovation and Technology. And I saw also from Dimitri's summary this morning that we very much, that confirmed that we're very much on the same line. So in conclusion, briefly, we expect a lot. We have a very strong basis to expect a lot from manufacturing industry. In the update of the industry policy, which we will present, the Commission will present in early next year, ahead of the Spring European Council, we will look more into that. The acceleration will be a key topic there on greening, on digital transformation, on resilience. So we will accompany these investments with the appropriate policy measures on alliances, on ecosystems, on the right competition framework, so that we can keep our strengths where we have them, develop them where we are not yet that strong, in order to have a strong integrated European Union based on a strong industrial base. Thank you very much. I close
very much,
here.
Peter. We can get back into split screen there so that you can see me. Thank you very much for giving us all that information on Horizon Europe. I'm just wondering if we can touch on that again, because there's an awful lot of instruments at work here, just a lot of material, obviously, also for the participants to absorb. We see a lot of very rich knowledge and exciting results that were achieved and generated by the relevant programs in Horizon 2020. And obviously we're looking forward to more with Horizon Europe. How do you think Horizon Europe can facilitate further knowledge valorization so that we don't lose any momentum, even in periods of, like we've just gone through, of uncertainty?
Yeah, well, that's a very important point. And actually, more generally, we don't do that well in knowledge valorization. It's a question of scale up. It has to do a lot with the capital market, with funds for scale up, which are not research and innovation funds, but real investments. So what we have learned a big lesson in the COVID crisis. We can do more with platforms, sharing. There is a COVID platform where our research projects have shared, even before publishing their results. They've shared that. The results, made them available, made labs available for others to cope with the pandemic. And we could build on that. And actually, we have also issued a manifesto for IP, so intellectual property management related to COVID research results, for sharing more. That's one element which we can use stronger. And if you haven't seen that manifesto, please have a look, and perhaps you wish to sign it as well. There's one element, but it's much more than just Horizon Europe and what we can do there. We have, in my directorate, actually, we have started a new team on knowledge valorization, where we look together with member states, because a lot is happening with intermediaries, with intellectual property protection, with standardization, with platforms. So how we can come to a stronger, more impactful joint up approach in knowledge valorization. So Horizon, yes, but also national policies joined up at European level.
Okay, thank you very much. And just to confirm, because we had a question yesterday, and I know that this is a question on very many people's minds. So obviously, we've got the good news this morning of Horizon Europe going to be getting the green light. But can we expect, from the manufacturing perspective, can we expect the budget to grow as compared to the predecessor Horizon 2020, especially with the growing innovation and startup dynamics on the manufacturing landscape across Europe?
Yeah. So budget is always a difficult discussion, and what I see here, we are all quite anxious.
Looking for a piece of the pie.
Yes, because there is so much more we would love to invest to. So if we had more money, we could invest it very well. But let's be very clear. I think the European Parliament gave us 4 billion more for Horizon. That's substantial. It never happened before in this negotiation on the budget. Second, so that means if we look at Horizon Europe compared to the previous program, Horizon 2020, there's a 14% increase in budget. If we calculate and compare what is comparable, so EU 27 under Horizon Europe with EU 27, so under Horizon 2020, it's a 30% increase. This is substantial. So we can, I really can see at European level there's a new recognition of the importance of research and innovation investment for our productivity, for our integration. And manufacturing plays a very, very important role in that and has a good share of the cake, as you said.
And making sure that we're not entirely dependent on supply chains that are located very far outside of our continental borders. Thank you very much for bringing us all of that information. Peter Droll, joining us from Brussels, Director for Prosperity at the DG for Research and Innovation. Thanks very much for coming to join us this morning.